After we finally met Rox, a lot of things started to make sense. But what I noticed that connects everything really well was Blackbeard's actions and the weapons Rox Xebec used, particularly that sword and the gun. Stick around until the end, it will all make sense. Also, before we start, please consider subscribing to the channel to help it grow. Blackbeard being Rox's son makes a lot of things clear. If we step back and analyze his actions, it's obvious that almost everything he's done was to follow in his father's footsteps and, at the same time, exact vengeance on those responsible for Rox Xebec's death. We know that Rox is dead. He died at God Valley, if we are to believe the words of Sengoku.
It's a rock fact.
But we still don't know in details exactly what happened there. We know how it started, we know who was present, and we know the clash happened. But we don't know the full story. Several factions were present at the time. Roger Pirates, Rox Pirates, Marines, Celestial Dragons, more precisely, the Holy Knights, maybe even all of them, if that shadowy silhouette was any indicator. All the big shots of that era ended up on the same island, and we can imagine the devastation. But in the end, Rox was betrayed and died there, and his crew disbanded. Blackbeard, either deliberately or by fate, decided to follow his father's path and carry out revenge on those he believed responsible for his father's downfall. When God Valley happened, he would have been around 1 year old, so I believe he learned a lot from Whitebeard, who had served under Rox and was both a friend and a rival to Roger. Once he had the right devil fruit, he made his move, first targeting Monkey D. Luffy, the grandson of Monkey D. Garp. But Ace, Roger's son, intercepted him. So, instead of capturing Luffy, he captured Ace. And, by doing so, enacted revenge on Roger. His father's former crewmates weren't safe either. Shiki said that none of them cared if Rox died, and all of them were on their own. Kaido, when talking about pirates, said, "Pirates will betray you. When they know you'll lose, they'll abandon you." Why? Because Rox was betrayed by his crew. Unlike many crews in One Piece, Rox and Blackbeard did not build bonds with their crewmates. Their followers are serving them only for the promise of something. Shiryu also said something similar when they were trying to steal the Gura Gura no Mi from Whitebeard. He was willing to abandon Blackbeard if his plans failed. And I believe that is exactly what happened at God Valley. Hence, Blackbeard also targeted his father's former crewmates. One example is the pirate prophet Ochoku. Like his father, Blackbeard captured Hachinosu, and in doing so, killed the island's leader and Rox's former crewmate, Ochoku. He also captured Garp and is likely planning to use him in some way. Captured Hancock and nearly killed her. And maybe the most horrific act of vengeance was killing the person who raised him, Whitebeard. We do see Blackbeard say that he admired him, but in the very next scene, he calls him a monster. And I believe that is his real opinion of Whitebeard. Also, similar to Rox, he wants to turn Hachinosu into a separate nation, one that the world government will be forced to recognize. And he has the same dream as Rox, to become the king of the world. Rox even attacked Marejoa, and he even made it all the way to the flower room, where he threatened Imu with a gun. And Blackbeard, just like his father, has his eyes set on Marejoa. So much so that he entrusted one of his most trusted captains, Lafitte, to keep an eye on it constantly. Why? Because he also wants revenge on Imu. But the most interesting thing about that encounter between Rox and Imu was that Rox threatened her with a gun. Oda deliberately mentions that Rox was a unique swordsman, that he fought using a sword. So why was he waving a gun at Imu? In One Piece, Oda depicts guns as a symbol of vengeance and cowardice. Hence Shanks' famous scene with bandits. They're often used to show someone taking power over another person, inflicting violence while avoiding direct risk or cost. So, when Rox pointed a gun at Imu, it wasn't just to kill. It was a symbolic act of vengeance and confrontation, directed at the one person who represents the highest power in the world. Look at how the 5 elders killed Cobra. Each of them had the power to kill him, with a mere wave of the hand. Hell, they could have ordered someone else to do it, but instead they pulled out guns. It's not the first time we've seen this pattern. Arlong killed Belmare, the woman who raised Nami, with a gun. Spandine shot Dr. Clover in Ohara. Queen Otohime, Shirahoshi's mother, was assassinated by Hody, using a gun to frame humans and undermine her ideals. Doflamingo killed his own brother, Corazon, with a gun. Blackbeard killed Whitebeard, the man who raised him, with a gun too. If you look at writers like Camus or Dostoevsky, murder is sometimes portrayed as an act of defying meaning or a twisted expression of freedom. Killing becomes a way to prove that one is free from morality, which ironically gives life a kind of meaning. For example, Raskolnikov in Crime and Punishment kills to prove that he is a superior man. And that's exactly why Rox, despite being a skilled swordsman, pulled out a gun on Imu, to prove that he was superior to her, and to symbolically evade the moral burden of the kill. It's also why Blackbeard, even though he has overpowered devil fruits, still carries guns, just like his father, even killed Whitebeard with them. But that raises a big question. If Rox was so skilled with his sword, what happened to his sword? Well, as I mentioned earlier, besides Roger and Garp, there was one more faction present at God Valley, the Figarland family and the Holy Knights. It's highly likely that after Rox was defeated at God Valley, Figarland took his sword, and later gave it to his son, Shamrock. Sounds a bit far-fetched at first, but let's explore a little bit more. Blackbeard named his ship the Saber of Xebec. Why? Because he idolizes his father. His pirate flag has 3 skulls. He carries 3 guns. He's clearly modeled after the real-life pirate Edward Teach, aka Blackbeard. The similarities couldn't be more obvious. And ironically, the real Blackbeard's most famous ship was called Queen Anne's Revenge, which also appeared in Pirates of the Caribbean.
Where am I? Excuse me, Captain Sparrow, sir. I'll be right honoured to welcome you aboard our well-renowned vessel of infamy, Queen Anne's Revenge. Blackbeard.
The infamous Davy Jones from that series is similar to Gyro, both having crab-like limb, and he was defeated by Hody Jones. We even had a Kraken, and now, with the mention of Davy Jones in the last chapter, there's no doubt that Oda is associating that legendary ship with Blackbeard. In real life, Queen Anne's Revenge was a political statement, Blackbeard's way of declaring war on the British Empire. In One Piece, the celestial dragons are often associated with the European nobility, especially those from the French and British empires. And the ship that Blackbeard sails is called the Saber of Xebec. Both are black ships, both sail with vengeance as their mission. Both are symbols of rebellion against those who wronged them. I think in God Valley, the one who contributed the most to the downfall of the Rock's pirates, or even directly killed Rox, was Figarland Garling. Not only that, but he took the Saber of Xebec, the sword Rox was using, and later gave it to his son, Figarland Shamrock. Blackbeard gave Shanks the infamous 3-scar slash across his eye. Buggy, his half-brother, gave Luffy's straw hat 3 slashes as well. And with Blackbeard's connection to Cerberus and number 3, without a doubt, it's connected to the Cerberus sword, which Figarland Shamrock now possesses. That's why the final group Blackbeard wants revenge on includes Imu and the Figarland family. That's precisely why he attacked Shanks. Because he believed his father's sword, the Saber of Xebec, also known as Cerberus, was in Shanks' possession. Why? Because both Shanks' sword, Griffin, and Cerberus look incredibly similar. And since Shanks and Shamrock are twins, it makes sense that Blackbeard made a mistake. This also connects to the fact that Cerberus, the sword, has 3 blades protruding from its hilt, just like the 3 scars Blackbeard gave to Shanks and the 3 slashes Buggy gave to Luffy's head. And finally, it's highly likely that Rox was the previous holder of the Yami Yami no Mi. Just like Luffy and Sabo risked their lives for their brother's devil fruit, Blackbeard's obsession with the Yami Yami no Mi now makes complete sense. Even killing a crewmate for it would be justified in his mind, because this was his father's fruit. In One Piece, devil fruits seem to behave a lot like human souls. It's very possible that they carry not just the abilities, but also the will of previous users. Maybe that's why Rock's final promise to Imu, that he'd be back, wasn't just bravado. If he couldn't return to Marajoa himself, then this time his son will return, to fulfill his father's promise, to reclaim the Cerberus, and to achieve the dream of becoming king of the world. Give the channel a subscribe and let me know your thoughts in the comments. If you noticed anything interesting or just want to share your theories, don't hesitate. Also, I'm a little tired from making all these Rox videos.
And that's a rock fact.
So next one will be about Usopp. And if you made it this far, thank you for watching.